Everybody say, say, how can I express my gratitude for all the many things you've done for me? Words are not enough, enough to say thank you. Say, Lord, you are my everything. You're my everything. How can I express my gratitude? How can I express my gratitude for all the many things, you Father, you done for me, yeah. Words are not enough to say thank you. So Lord, you are, you're my everything. Say, I call you Jireh. Lord, my provider. I call you Nisi. You are my battle. Lord, you are. Lord, you're my everything. I call you Jireh. Lord, my provider. I call you Nisi. You are my banner. I call you Rapha. You are my healer. Say, Lord, you are. You're my everything. Who am I thinking now? Who am I thinking now? Who am I thinking now? Oh, who am I thinking now? Yeah, so who am I thinking now? Who am I thinking now? Yeah, who am I thinking now? Oh, who am I thinking now? Say, I call you Jireh. Say,
Good morning, and good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. And then so, yebema ankrankrebia kwaba eba yedwumedie so. Ene ya kechi kakra na nso mo fa nkyeye. Migidi se baby biara wo ho ye na se wo ho ye dia na me bomode a asra weni die mo bomode na fraud adamfo bi fra onu bi fra odofo bi se emre na so se ye ba beka emra ensem nsɛm a ɛboa yɛn a yɛte kurom aburokyimemu ɛyɛ English aburokyimemu na yɛde toto yɛn ho yɛhwɛ nea ɛwɔ sɛ yɛyɛ saa mmara kyerɛkyerɛ no mmerɛ ɛna aso nti megye di sɛ wobɛhwɛ me nko a wo nkyɛmfa nanso wobɛfrɛ obi aka wo ho sɛ ɔmbɛtie bi na ɔno ara n'asom wobɛsi wasompa na wetie na wo so wode ato anamo media ne manyeti wo hyiam baabia na ofrɛ manyeti a megye wo so ɛnɛ ɛyɛ me dɛ ɛyɛ me ahosɛpɛ sɛ menya me nua ba fɛɛfɛ ɔba papa bi a ɛnɛ mene ne ba bɛdi dwuma no na edwuma a yɛba bɛdi no sɛnea yɛ no every Friday bia na BWF Solicitors for akɔm ho sɛ daabi Mommy sorry na ye enko educate the community no about nyoma ekoko so nyoma omugidi se betumi abo mo eno nene yakofa one of the headlines and I say headings ne baako se emre nkrofo ebisebisa ho nsem kakra ena enem pese miyese ochran pese miyese echnechi se anti ahwemo a etumu baako se ene ye ba bekeka ho nsem nansa na meyi me dofo anase me resource person and has say me speaker for the day na ne obede nkyerɛkyerɛ be maye no ne meka kyerɛwa ne se bomodia na frobi embeka ho na afi nso no ade baako a me de besrɛ woni ese share the program share uhu ba so pe na wa start se wa share afi nso o like program na okwa YouTube channel no nso anu abomodin a say obede obe subscribe to the channel na ne be me de ne say o de who stay on it don't stay just 1 second na 2 seconds in na wokọ bomodin a to me gyina yɛn nkyɛn a bɛyɛ 5 minutes bi mpo na tie asɛm a ɛrekɔ no a ɛbɛyɛ me de yie na ɛhyira me nso. Nti bɔ mmɔden a na yɛ saa ma me. Abere a yɛba abɛka sɛ ɛnɛ yɛnkyɛ nti no mɛsan de ato etiefoɔ anim sɛ mentumi ɛmfa calls. Ɛnɛ mewɔ a whole lot of questions a mpɛ sɛ ɛnɛ yɛto yɛ bo ase na yɛkyerɛkyerɛ mu na meka sɛ mefa calls no nso de aka ho a ɛbɛma program ne bɛkyɛ na ɛnɛ yɛnim mmere saa already yɛ mmerɛ no bi kɔ. Nti mɛsrɛ w'ani dire mu mɛnka sɛ ɛnɛ wontumi mfrɛ nti wongyina tie yɛn ka yɛn ho na yɛnyɛ program no. Ɛnɛ me resource person me nua baaba prɛko pɛ lawyer Annie Akofie so a ɛnɛ ɔno ɛna me ne ba bɛdi dwuma mpatwɔ me ma good morning ɛnɛ deɛ I hope sɛ menya wo din correct.
Thank you very much. How are you, please?
Yeah, God, by God's grace, I'm doing
Good.
great, actually, yeah. So we'll mix, we'll blend the language, I guess so. A bit of English, a bit of Tree. So some of the questions that I have, I've actually piled up a few questions that I would like to ask you. But in the meantime, the topic that we have for today, no, and I'm saying you can't some kakra. And it said a lot of people no bisa say parents my wofo major more Ghana and Ghana say mahama ba obey Ghana ye na mum kakra mre bi ekono nyoma antoto ye kakra ma yen nananom ye ma menom ne ade bi mu yare na nsuo yi aye basa ne ade amadodo na no omo depending on us no dodo na da ne yarefoɔ na yɛhwɛ yɛ akyi no ɛyɛ na ɛha adwen sɛ ɔbɛnya obi akɔhwɛ no ɔbɛnya obi ayɛ sei na da bia na ɔfrɛ ɛyɛ na ɛma yɛnya asomdwe wɔho yɛnya the peace of mind na yɛmfa nyɛ adwuma da bia na adwendwen da bia me maame o me papa o me nana o ayɛ akwadanda de ama yɛ nti ɛnɛ mahyɛ da de saa question aba yɛa yɛnnua baa lawyer sɛ mɛtumi de me maame anaa me papa na kyerɛ sɛ m'awofoɔ a ɔmo apɔmudene ɛnyɛ den papa no mɛtumi de ɔmo aba kurom ha abra mewɔ asetena sɛ ɔmo bɛyɛ me dependent na mentumi ɛnhwɛ ɔmo anaa ɛyɛ question a megye di sɛ dodoɔ naa ɛpɛ nnora mpo obi bisaa me saa question no ɔno mpo deɛ ɔno ne maame no na ɛwɔ ha a ne ho mfa no ɛna ne ba no abɛsra no ne ba no sɛ daabi ɔpɛ sɛ sisi a na ɔtena na ɔhwɛ ne maame sɛnea ne ho teɛ ne nyinaa so vice versa saa nso na bi a wɔwɔ so wɔ ha na ɔpɛ sɛ wo maame anaa wo papa sɛnea n'apɔmuden tene no wontumi nyɛ obi papa ɛnhwɛ no nti wopɛ sɛ ɔmbɛka wo wɔ ha as your dependent no ɛno na ɛpɛ sɛ yɛdi nkyerɛkyerɛ na nkyerɛkyerɛ wei ɛnɛ yɛnwie yɛbɛka ne kakraa ne ato apete anwi mu na afɛ deɛ mo a modwendwen ho na mohwɛ a na next time yɛasan afrɛ bio ne asa ka ho asɛm kɛseɛ paa na kyerɛ sɛ yɛakyerɛkyerɛ kwan no nyinaa na ɛnɛ me resource person let me ask this big question. Can I bring my sick parent as a dependent to the UK? Over to you, Julati.
Thank you very much, Lady Maniati, and good morning again to all our viewers. Thank you for joining us today. So, yes, the answer to today's question is yes, you can bring your dependent parent to the UK, and that is, of course, if you meet the requirements. So, today we're looking at the adult dependent relative route, and specifically the Home Office guidance that was published on the 7th of August 2023. So when we say adult dependent relative, what do we mean? If someone in the UK who would be the sponsor has someone outside of the UK who would be the applicant, and the person outside of the UK is either sick or they are old or they have some type of disability that they require long-term care, and no one is in that country where the applicant is to care for them, in that case, in certain circumstances, the sponsor here can bring them to join them in the UK. So what is really important to note is that If someone submits an application, an adult dependent relative application, they can either be submitting the application for indefinite leave to remain or limited leave to remain. So it depends really on the type of leave that the sponsor in the UK has. So if the sponsor here in the UK has indefinite leave to remain, the person outside of the UK would basically be applying for indefinite leave to remain, whilst if the sponsor has pre-settled status or limited leave to remain, then the applicant would be applying for an adult dependent relative visa. However, they would be granted limited leave to remain in the UK. And it's also important to note that when the person enters the UK, that they wouldn't have recourse to public funds, which means that they wouldn't receive any benefits. They wouldn't be entitled to any type of benefits, no universal credit. If they have a disability, they wouldn't be entitled to disability allowance, etc. So yeah, as I said, we're looking at the guidance today, and what is really important also to note is that the application has to be made outside of the UK. So someone within the UK cannot switch to the adult dependent relative route. If they want to do that, they would have to leave the UK and then submit the application outside of the UK. And then, if it's successful, they'll be able to enter the UK. So, within the guidance, there are certain requirements that have to be met. So, the first requirement is known as the entry requirement, whereby the applicant has to first of all obtain entry clearance, so they cannot enter the UK without having obtained entry clearance. And in certain circumstances, they also have to undertake a tuberculosis test, and they must have the certificate with them in order to enter the UK. In terms of the relationship requirement, someone might ask, who can I bring from outside of the UK into the UK? So the guidance is very specific, which means that the guidance says that you can bring, for example, let's say someone lives here in the UK and they are a sponsor, they can bring in their parents from outside of the UK, they can bring their grandparents, they can bring their siblings, whether it's brother or sister, and they can also bring in their child, so anyone who's over the age of 18, whether it's their son or daughter. So that means that if you want to bring someone from outside of the UK and they do not fall within these categories of people that have just gone through, that have just been through, you cannot bring them under this route known as adult dependent relatives. So, for example, if someone is here in the UK and they want to bring their niece from outside of the UK or their nephew, they wouldn't be able to do that. So you have to make sure that the person who you want to bring, first of all, can be classified as an adult dependent relative. And it's important also to note that the person must be over the age of 18. Now, in terms of the sponsor who's here in the UK, not everyone in the UK can sponsor someone under this route. So you either have to be a British citizen or an Irish citizen, or you must have indefinite leave to remain in the UK, or you must be here under, like, let's say the EU settlement scheme. Let's say you are an EU national, you're from Germany, Spain, Italy, or Liechtenstein, Norway. You can also bring someone from outside of the UK, which means that if, again, you do not fall within one of these categories of people, then you wouldn't be able to bring someone from outside of the UK. So let's say you're here as a visitor, then unfortunately this wouldn't be the route for you to explore. But if you do fall within this category and the person that you're thinking of bringing into the UK also is an immediate family member, then this might be the route for you to explore. So those are the relationship requirements which have to be met. Then the second requirement that has to be met is the dependency requirement. So you have to show that either the person who you are thinking of bringing into the UK, that person is either old, so you're bringing them because of their age, or you're bringing them because they're ill, or they have some sort of disability. And so they can either for example, they can be old and have an illness, or they can be old and have a disability. They don't have to necessarily be old, have an illness, and have a disability. If they have one of them, that's okay. That's all you have to prove. So you have to show that you're either bringing them because of their age, their illness, or disability, and that because of one of them at least, they require long-term support, which they cannot obtain in the country that they are living in. So, for example, if you want to bring, let's say you're a British citizen and you want to bring your mother from outside of the UK into the UK, because let's say she's old, she's 84 years old, and she doesn't have anyone to take care of her, then you might meet the requirements. So what you'd have to prove is that the person who you want to bring into the UK, that person needs help with performing their everyday tasks. All right. So the Home Office guidance says that everyday tasks include, for example, the person is not able to cook, they're not able to clean, they're not able to perhaps have a shower or brush their teeth. All of these tasks are everyday tasks. So the person shouldn't be able to do one of them. And you'd have to prove that the level of care that they require is either no longer available, or you, the sponsor, you cannot afford to basically pay for them to receive that type of support outside of the UK. So if your parent, again going back to the example, your parent was being looked after by someone, and the person is now no longer able to look after your parent because, for example, they've got a new job and they're leaving the home country where your mother is in, and there is no one else to take care of your mother, you can potentially bring her into the UK, if you can show that the person who was taking care of her no longer can take care of her, and that there is no one else in that country who can take care of her. So the Home Office normally, if in the country where, let's say, your parent is from, someone else is there, let's say your family member is there, or you have a sibling who lives in that country, or a friend, or just if anyone else is able to take care of your parent, then the application probably wouldn't be successful because they would say that your parent is able to obtain care from someone else. So you'd have to prove that there is no one else. Even within the application, they will ask what type of, if you have friends or family in that country. And again, the Home Office, they tend to look back at previous applications that you have submitted. So if they have asked you in previous applications whether you have family or friends in your home country, they can go back to those applications and consider what you said in response to that question. So if they find out that you do have family in that home country where your parent is from, then in their mind, they would really think that that person or that family member can take care of your parent, and that your parent doesn't necessarily have to enter the UK because they can be provided for in their country. Or if you cannot prove that requirement, then another requirement would be that you can show that, okay, there might be someone who can care for your parents in their home country. Let's say you can go for a carer or a house helper. If you can prove that you cannot afford it, then you can rely on that to and basically in support of the application that your parents should join you in the UK. So the Home Office, within their guidance, they have basically put forward types of scenarios to show in what circumstance someone would be able to bring someone from outside of the UK, and in what circumstance they wouldn't be able to. So, producer, if you could kindly go to the Home Office guidance so that we can just go through some of the examples. I think that would be of use. Thank you very much. So, if you just scroll down, Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So, just to provide an example, as you can see on screen, example one, it says that a person aged 25 has a learning disability, which means that he cannot feed, or wash, or dress himself. So, in that case, he cannot meet his own needs. He cannot do everyday tasks. And then it says his parents with whom he lived have recently died in an accident, and his only surviving close brother is in the UK, who has been sending money to the family for some time. The person who has been caring for him temporarily um, since his parents' death is no longer able to basically support that person. So it goes on to say that the sponsor is unable to meet the costs of full time residential care, but he and his family have sufficient financial and other means to care for the applicant in their home. So it goes on to say that this could meet the criteria. So I think this would it's useful to go through, because if your facts are kind of similar, you will know that your application may be successful. In this case, I mean, there was no one available to look after this person. His parents had passed away. He didn't have any type of relatives in his home country who could look after him anymore. And the only person who could really look after him was his brother, who was in the UK. And so, in that case, it made sense for the Home Office to basically allow or for the application to be successful. So, if you just scroll down, I want to go through an example where it wouldn't be successful. So, producer, if you could kindly scroll down. Okay, so example three, it says that a person aged 70 lives in India. Her daughter lives in the UK. Her son and his family live in the UAE. The daughter sends her mother money to pay for someone to do her cleaning, but is concerned that her mother is becoming increasingly frail and forgetful. And it goes on to say that this wouldn't meet the requirements of adult dependent relative, because clearly the sponsor in this case is able to pay for someone to look after um, her mother. And as the person is able to help the person, I mean, the mother, with her daily tasks such as cooking and cleaning, the requirements, I mean, the person is good where they are. So that's how the Home Office basically sees it. And just to provide a last example, example four, it says that a person aged 26 entered the UK as a visitor. His parents and younger siblings are settled in the UK. The applicant lived in Canada to complete his higher education. He has diabetes, which is managed by medication. This again would not meet the requirements, because honestly, the type of if you are relying on the illness that the person has back home, for example, it has to be something like a serious illness. In this case, it was diabetes. And normally, depending on the severity, but normally diabetes wouldn't prevent you from completing your everyday activities. So you're still able to clean, you're still able to cook, you're still able to brush your teeth. And so in that case, the requirement was not met. So that's important to note. So I just want to again go over the requirements. Thank you, producer, very much. Thank you. So number one, the person in the home country, the applicant who you want to bring into the UK, they must be either you must be either bringing them because they're old, number one, number two because they have a disability, or number three because they are like unwell. So that is it, and whatever they have has to prevent them from completing their everyday activities. The sponsor must either be able, if the sponsor is not able to pay for them to be cared for, the sponsor can rely on that. Or even if there is no one else to take care of the applicant back home, the sponsor can rely on that too. So Manya T, please, I'll leave it here in case you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Lawyer Annie Akufiesoa. Yes, just as you were saying from the beginning, I had a couple of questions from the beginning, but as you kept on explaining towards getting to the end, I found some of the answers. However, for the sake of the viewers, still go ahead and then ask some of these questions. You know, tie from tie me say near tie say me nua not twi ba ka na ɔntumi nka wava nti mɛka twii ne kakra na masan ka pɔtɔ kasa ne nso kakra na ansa na mɛkɔ hɔ no de nkyia kɛseɛ nso bɛma yɛn nuanom a moaba so yɛn nuanom nyinaa a moaba so yɛn nuaba Tileduma wafrɛfrɛ Abigail ɔsɛ Mensa Michael Van Nana Etiahene Ezekiel Johnson Abena ɔbaa papa bi Sandra sɛ ɔde nkyia kɛseɛ ɛma obi biara na Bob Asare mo nyinaa Tilly de mudin no atototo hɔ ama yɛhu na yɛwɔ question baako bi mebisa mo batam yɛnkɔ so before from the beginning the whole thing it said there should be a sponsor who ha as a no that's the child no and I hope say wo de wo adult dependent e de ba ha but also can so say adult dependent na just say me there na make asem bi a o parent nko na asem bi a o grandparents in case or mo na mbia wo na wo hwe omo but also can siblings kran so esa e de kan ho e ma na siblings na o de kan ho no na sɛ ɔmo yɛ above the age 18 no ansa na they become adult dependent a ɔsɛ will go through this kind of process na ayɛ say, oh yes, saa application a sɛbio na ebia wo parent no you also made mention say ɛnyɛ obiara kɛkɛ you must be a British citizen
Mm.
anaasɛ maybe Irish citizen anaasɛ woyɛ EU national anaasɛ wowɔ indefinite leave to remain ansa na wobɛtumi qualify na ɛyɛ requirement na wobɛtumi de nkurɔfoɔ wei no mu de aba na yɛmfa ne sɛ obi a typical one a menim ɔno wɔ ha ɔyɛ citizen na edwuma a n'edwuma sɛm no ɛnhyɛ daa ɛnkɔ yie papa ɔyɛ edwuma but edwuma a ɔyɛ no ɛnɔɔso biara ɛna your statement also you made mention say when you are able to make this application or you should prove say ɔmo ba a anaasɛ sɛ yɛma ɔmo visa na they will not grant them that public funds ne bi nti na ɔsɛ wo na wo prove sɛ wobɛtumi ayɛ dɛn ahwɛ ɔmo na sɛ obi kɔfa n'awofoɔ bi saa na ɔwɔ part-time job even though ɔwɔ baabi ɔte ne ade but part-time job would that be sufficient a ɔsɛ obɛtumi gyina so na ɔde a invite ne parent no ɛde aba ana I don't know if you understood my
Yes,
question.
Steve, I did. Thank you. Yes, so the Home Office, they will honestly look at the sponsor's income. So this
Mm,
is part of the financial requirements. So normally we would request for 6 months worth of pay slips to show how much the
mm,
person earns. And we would request for an employment letter and also bank
mm,
statements, 6 months to show that the money is actually entering into the sponsor's account. So if the person works a part-time job, they might still meet the financial requirement. What the Home Office is looking for is that the sponsor has adequate, like they would be adequately able to look after the applicant. So if the Home
okay.
Office goes through the bank statement and the payslips and they are satisfied that the sponsor would be able to look after the applicant
Mm,
well enough without access to public funds, then they can um, allow the application. So it just depends on how much the person
how
earns
much?
really.
Okay.
Yes, yes, but
All right.
also
So unlike
um,
before you continue, unlike some of the applications that the Home Office, they are really specific about an amount of money that you should be earning. Is
mm,
it the same? Does it still apply to this one? Because
mm,
maybe I might be earning a regular income, but it's just sufficient for the family. But if it's not like the 18 6 or 24 whatever or 29 whatever, Do they have something like that, or it can be just a regular income, which is can you can actually trace throughout the 6 months period statements that I've given out?
Yeah, so it's actually quite different. So it's not with this type of application, adult dependent relative, it's not 29,000. Like they don't ask for that at all. What they
Mm,
more of look at is that the income that the person earns weekly is at least
mhm.
equivalent to the money that someone would earn who is on benefits in the UK. So that's known as the
Okay.
income support rate. So they would look
Mm,
at the person's weekly income, and they will
mm,
take away, like it's a calculation that they do, so they will take away the rent that the person pays, like
mm,
weekly, any
mm,
council tax that they pay as well. And
mm.
if at the end of the week the money that is left is equivalent to the money that someone would receive on who's on benefits, then as long as it meets that same level or it's more, then it
Yeah.
will not be a problem. But if it's less, then it would be a problem. Yeah.
Okay, that's good then. And then
Yeah.
so that even includes the accommodation and other stuff
Yes,
as
it
well.
does.
Because provided you have a place to stay, must it be any extra room for your parents or whoever you are inviting, or even if you are staying within one bedroom flat or two bedroom flat with your children, they don't have anything against that, or there should be some sort of extra room for the applicant to live in.
There should be an extra room because under
Mm,
Part X of the Housing Act 1985, there shouldn't be overcrowding. So
mm,
normally those who are over the age of 18, they are required to have their own room. So like the applicant and sponsor would have to make sure that there would not be any overcrowding, because that could be a reason for refusal. And I just wanted to go back to the previous question. So even when it comes to proving finances, the sponsor, they would have to basically fill out a form, which is an undertaking. So they have to kind of promise to the Home Office that whilst the person is in the UK, whilst the applicant is in the UK, they will be the ones who will be providing for them. So let's say the applicant would receive indefinite leave to remain, then the sponsor would have to sign a form basically
mhm,
confirming that they will be responsible for the applicant's upkeep for the next 5 years. Or even if the applicant has been has received leave for, let's say, limited leave, then the sponsor would have to again sign, literally confirming that they will look after them for the duration of their time that they'll be here in the UK.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, lawyer. I've got a couple of questions here that I would like to ask, but before I do so, there is this one that is really, really intriguing. A parent came to visit the daughter here, and then the parent fell really, really, really sick. She was on a visitor's visa, but she felt really, really sick, admitted in the hospital. The daughter was able to afford for whatever payment that was due to be paid. And such a person, the way the parent has become very, very fragile, even to travel back home, can this person use such a scenario to make this application? Since we said the application should be outside, made outside the UK, you cannot come here as a visitor to make such an application. But in this case, this woman has been in the hospital for almost 3 months now. The woman, the daughter, is still able to afford for the payment of the care in the hospital. Can she use this scenario to apply for her parents to, I mean, to rather stay, have a status, and then be able to look after her properly? Can that be possible?
Well, Lady Maniati, it's a bit of a technical question because, as you said, normally with these type of applications, they have to be completed outside of the UK. But
Mhm,
considering the facts in this case, the fact that the mother is has been perhaps in hospital for a few months,
mhm,
it might not be
mhm,
reasonable to expect her to go back to her home country
mhm,
and then submit the application. So in that
mm.
case, the Home Office they might use their discretion to
Okay.
basically decide how it would go. I mean, they will consider if their decision would, like, if there would be any harsh consequences on the
Mm.
applicant. And in this case, I mean, potentially, of course, there would be harsh consequences if the person would be required to leave the UK first. Like, it's not practical. So, the Home Office, they would use their discretion in this case.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Okay, let's have these questions. I came to the UK as a visitor in January 2024. My mother is 84 years old and no one is able to take care of her anymore. How can I bring her to the UK? So I think if this person who brought this question maybe started listening to us from the beginning, probably might have gotten the answer, but the question just came, you know. Remember, Astro say if you can go over and then answer this one for me, Utie.
Sorry, Lady Maniati, your line cut. I didn't hear you for when you were reading the question. Could you kindly repeat it?
Okay.
Thank you.
I came to the UK as a visitor in January 2024.
Mm,
My mother is 84 years old and no one is able to take care of her anymore. How can I bring her to the UK? And I said that probably if this person who brought the question was listening to us from the
mm,
beginning, might
yeah.
have, of course, get the answer. But then the question just came in. So
Okay.
can we repeat that process for her to understand? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So thank you for your question. If you came here as a visitor or you're currently here as a visitor, you wouldn't be able to sponsor your mother under or your parent under this route because you wouldn't be classified as a sponsor. So, because you either have to be here as a British citizen or an Irish citizen or someone who has indefinite leave to remain, which is also known as settlement, or someone who is here under the EU settlement scheme with limited leave to remain, also known as pre-settled status, or someone who is a refugee or here with humanitarian protection. So these are the requirements or the category of people that the Home Office would consider as a sponsor in this type of situation. So as you don't fall um, within the list, you wouldn't be able to sponsor your mother under this route. However, there would be other options, of course, available. So please do not hesitate to contact us. We would be more than happy to help you out. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I've got another one here. You may mention in your submission, you've made mention of some of the reason. You even gave an example from the Home Office site, some of the scenarios or caseworks that got refusal or will not be able to approve the application for them. But I've got this one. She's asking, what are the common reasons for a refusal of adult dependent visa? So maybe we have some small common ones that can actually impact your application to get refusal. So, with me, that would be great.
Yes, no worries. So I would say there are a few common reasons for refusals when it comes to adult dependent relatives. So, number one, as I said, the person who you want to bring from outside of the UK, they must either be sick or you must be bringing them because of their age, or they must have some type of disability. So if the person who you're bringing from outside of the UK does not fall again within one of these categories, and let's say you just want to bring your parent because you miss them, or you just want to sponsor their application, of course you can, but that would be a different route. So if they do not you're not bringing them because of their old age, or
Mm,
because of illness, then that would be a reason for refusal. Another reason for
mm,
refusal could be that it's a requirement that the person who you're bringing, they shouldn't be able to complete everyday tasks. So if the person
mm,
is able to, let's say they do have they might be ill, let's say they have diabetes, as we saw in the home office example, yeah, they might meet the illness criteria. However, if they're able to still do what they always do, they're still able to cook, they're able to clean, they're
mm,
able to have a shower, just take care of themselves, then they wouldn't, you know, really need any type of support. Or even if, again, there is someone outside of the UK, a family member, someone else who can take care of your mother, let's say, then and the home office is aware of this, then the application can be refused, because honestly, the home office, they don't want people to be bringing their relatives into the UK anyhow. So if there is support available outside of the UK, then the application can be refused, because they just want that people are brought to the UK if it's like a last resort. Yeah, so those are really the main reasons of refusal. Or
mm,
even if someone, um, their finances are not enough, they
mm,
do not meet, like the income that they receive does not meet the income support that someone would
mhm,
receive who's on benefits. That could be a reason for refusal as well.
mm. Okay, so talking of the income, no, suppose maybe two of us are here, and na ye mommy and na ye papa na pese ye kofa no. Ebia na me ye application, me sika na say me requirement no me shada meet 100%. Na me nua ba bi nso wɔ ha that we can prove that ye sibling na ye nyina ye mommy no akan the two of us do a application together. And so also the financial support they can say yes, I'm part yeah, mini ba yin no you bit me a boom no. Is there any possibility in that case?
Yeah, so the Home Office doesn't, as far as I'm aware, the Home Office guidance doesn't really touch up on that. It just talks about the
Mm,
sponsor's income. But let's
okay.
say perhaps if the sponsor is in a relationship, the sponsor is married, then of
Mhm,
course,
mhm.
perhaps the Home Office would consider the household income. So someone could
Okay.
also rely on the income that their spouse receives. So that is like collective income. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. I have one question also. You say, good morning, Magneti. Good morning, lawyer Annie. I submitted my parent route application in 2023 and the decision is still pending. What can I do? Did you hear me?
Yes, please, I did.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes. So if your decision is still pending, it's been pending since 2023, you can submit or write a pre-action protocol letter, which you would basically, where you're complaining to the Home Office for the delay in deciding your application. So it depends on the type of application that it is, because certain different types of applications kind of have different service standards. But if it's a regular human rights application, normally the standard service time is about 6 months at least. So the fact that it's been pending since 2023, you can definitely write to the Home Office, basically to complain that you haven't received any update from them, and that you haven't received any timescales in regards to how long it will take for your application to be decided. And normally, the Home Office, they do respond within 14 days from the date that you send them the pre-action protocol letter. So they would explain within their response where the application is at. So that would be a route or an option for you to explore. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Thank you very much, Laya Annie. Mim sambisa question back na yenko yenim. Very soon it for muti yen. Say wapeno abeto ya na ye kan about kwan a obetumi afa so na ode wo adult dependent aba be kan ho wo UK ha. Adult dependent lawyer akyekire mu say enye sebio wo maame nko ana embia wo grandparent so betumi ana wo papa ana say even unuanum, but they must be aged above 18 years and sana obetumi ayɛ saa application afei nso akɔ so akyerɛkyerɛ mu sɛ ɛnyɛ obiara kɛkɛ na obetumi ayɛ such application na wɔsɛ wɔ asetena a wɔwɔ no sɛ mbia na wɔwɔ indefinite leave to remain ɛwɔ kurom ha anaasɛ woyɛ British citizen sorry anaasɛ woyɛ Irish citizen ansa na wobɛtumi ayɛ anaa mpo sɛ woyɛ EU national a na watena kurom ha mmere kakra ni ɛno nso wobɛtumi ayɛ saa application no na ɔyɛ nso a wakyerɛkyerɛ nneɛma a kwan a ɔsɛ wofa so na botaa nti a wopɛ sɛ saa nipa ko no ɔba na ɔbɛka wo wɔ ha na wotumi hwɛ no na ɔma examples kakra examples no bi no ɔde bi koraa bɛtuu dwa a ɛnom no sɛ ɛno na wokita anaasɛ saa yɛka ne sɛ wowɔ asɛm no te saa a home office for ɛmfa ma ɔkyerɛ kwan a ɛbɛfa so a wobɛyɛ a sɛ woanyɛ ne yie nso anaasɛ woankyerɛ emu papa a ɛno nso yɛbɛgyina so de refuse saa application na mmom wakyerɛkyerɛ kwan a ɛne nneɛma pɔtee a ɛtumi yɛgyina so na yɛtumi grant saa application no na yɛde abrɛ a ɔsan so ɛka sɛ wasetena bi a wowɔ wɔ ha no sɛ yɛma wo nipa no a ɛm sɛ ɛno bi na yɛde bɛma no British citizen deɛ no na ɛm sɛ mante ne papa lawyer akɔfio ɛno mante ne papa o sɛ ɔyɛ British citizen na sɛ wo invite wo awofoɔ ɔmo nso yɛma ɔmo abɛyɛ British citizen a na hɔ no mante ne papa o saa na ɛteɛ.
Please, can you say that again?
What I was saying is let me try to explain wo status a wowɔ a wode yɛ application a yɛbɛma nipa ko no a woyɛ adult dependent yɛbɛma no bi ɛna meka sɛ I didn't actually hear the British citizen side hɔ no sɛ woyɛ British citizen na o invite wo adult dependent no saa visa bɛn ne yɛbɛma ɔmo sɛ yɛbɛma ɔmo ayɛ citizen prɛko pɛ anaa ɔmo deɛ yɛbɛma ɔmo bi foforɔ hɔ na mante aseɛ yie.
Yeah, so in that case, the person would obtain indefinite leave to remain. So they wouldn't be like British automatically.
Okay, that's fine. Now, I am bia on say the bia ye invite nkrofo abeka ye ho no in visit but say ye pese ye nkrofo bi beka ye ho a ye ka say TB no oh you mentioned the TB say oni TB also okoye na ye hwe say oni such yare na na brofo nso ka ho say at least to make call eka medidi menom ne ade e wo brofo mo small B1 ni bi no ɛno nso no ɛyɛ a na ɔmo de ka ho sɛ wo invite adult dependent anaasɛ ɛno deɛ akɔyɛ sɛ ɔmo ayɛ fragile kakra no nti no yɛnhyɛ nafa English language ne nka ho.
Yeah, so it depends. So the cases that I've come across, normally, if the person who is being invited, the applicant, is really unwell, then in that case, they don't have to sit the English language test or they don't have to meet the English language requirement because, there are exceptions to the rules. So if someone is, for example, over the age of 65, let's say someone is bringing their parent from outside of the UK and the parent is over 65, let's say the parent is 80, in that case, of course, the parent wouldn't have to meet the English language requirements, or even if the parent who's outside of the UK is from an English language speaking country, the Home Office, they have come up with a list of countries where if you're from that country, you don't even have to, sit the English language test at all. So if, let's say, the person is from Jamaica or the USA, Canada, in that case, they would be exempt as well. And if, as I said, the person is critically unwell, and their condition would prevent them from sitting the test altogether, they wouldn't have to sit it. But of course, it's not just by word of mouth, so you'd have to provide a letter from a
Mm.
GP or from a consultant, which really explains or would confirm that the person isn't well enough to sit the English language test. And in that case, they would be exempt and they would still be able to, enter the UK without even having sat the test. Yeah.
Mm. And your Maya, dear, try our
Yeah.
last question, then we summarize the whole thing. And not, yeah, sorry, like I promised my viewers and listeners, and check and but these particular headings I had by na topic I had by you say, do na question, muti one person come free na bisa ɛho asɛm because one way or the other na awofoɔ no anaasɛ wo adult dependent no situations bi wɔ hɔ pɛ sɛ ohu sɛ such situation no nso bɛtumi qualify for entry requirement na menim sɛ ɛna a mentumi mbie telephone lines no nti no ɛbɛyɛ nya will bring this topic once again no deɛ mɛbie telephone lines na yɛtumi ebisa na yɛnim mmerɛ koraa na yɛwɔ two question bi membisa no pɛ na we have just about 3 minutes na sorry na yɛnkɔ ɔse my child had a cataract surgery and the eye has been replaced by contact lenses. Can my child come in with a visit visa and switch to parent route while in the UK? Wait, dear, me answer. What I know from Kakra in Nimene say, the visitors visa eba kurom ha. Bibie ni hɔ a wobɛtumi adane no. Ɛno pɛ ansa wo. Wode visitors visa eba kurom ha. Bibie ni hɔ situation na me maaye about obi awofoɔ na ɔmo bae no maame na ɔbae no odi bɛyɛ 2 months ne pɛ na ɔba abɛkɔ no ɛna ɔbɔɔ yare bɔɔ no na wakɔda wada hospital saa 3 months ne nti na me bisa such question sɛ nti ɛyɛ a na ɛyɛ home office discretion sɛ ɔmo bɛhwɛ sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ yɛma no asetena ne ba no ɛkɔ so hwɛ no ba wei no ɔsɛ wo ba nti lawyer Kofi mmea me nyansa mu na maka no but mo lawyers no is it possible?
So the question was that if someone has the person has cataracts, was it?
Yeah, see, my child had a cataract surgery and the eye has been replaced by contact lenses. Can my child come in with a visitor's visa and switch to parent route while in the UK? And then my speaker no a papa, but I don't know. It's on the screen. Producer, I'll bet me there to screen. Yeah, say your time the crash we answer no pena. Yeah, sorry, nko. Near me can say, oh, speaking so they had dream. Near me can say, hey, or see, my child had a cataract surgery and been replaced with a contact lens. Me to me, I invite na manabaha na fe obedu ha no ma switch it to parent route ana eno no or bisa yenua ba efia nana sewa kusia bonso.
Yes. So I would suggest in that circumstance that the parent would just invite her child to the UK instead of coming here as a visitor first and then switching.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nti na it's possible sɛ wo ba deɛ wobɛtumi ayɛ application ama no aba abɛka ho ɛyɛ nnuanom ne adɔfo wei deɛ momfa nkyɛ me menim sɛ afei na nkwan no yɛ dɛ no na fufuo no nso asa ɛwɔ aduane no ho nti no wei deɛ momfa nkyɛ me na nyame adom a ɔtena the community and the law ne bɛba so na yɛtumi continue some of these questions no but like I said our time is really really limited today due to one or two reasons I mean to me and lawyer Annie we are just about to draw the curtains. Is there any advice, anything at all you like to leave with us? Throughout the week before we meet again.
I just want to thank you all for staying with us until the end. I mean, yes, we have learned today that it's possible to bring a sick parent to the UK. All you have to prove is that the person is not able to carry out their everyday tasks, and that there is no one in their home country who can take care of them, or that you cannot afford to pay for the healthcare there. And so it would make sense for the person to live with you here in the UK so that you can care for them. There's also the financial requirement which you'd have to meet, whereby you have to show that the income that you receive weekly at least is equal to or more than the income support that someone would receive who is on benefits. And in terms of the evidence, you'd have to, let's say the person you're bringing is unwell, you would need to add as part of the application evidence, medical strong evidence that confirms that the person is unwell. So the letter should confirm the condition that the person has, the diagnosis, how it affects their day-to-day living. The letter should confirm that the person is not able to carry out their day-to-day activities, and that strong letter would support the application. Because if it's just you saying that the person is unwell, that wouldn't be enough by itself. So if you have honestly any questions, we're here. We are more than happy to support you and to help you. And we don't just deal with immigration matters. We do probate, civil, family matters. So we deal with quite a range of areas within immigration. So please do not hesitate to contact us at all. We're more than happy to help you. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you too, Lawyer Annie Akufio. So, you better was say a tons of fro and oba na oni abe in church topic here. And common crofo be brain and so no. Maybe a telephone line into me, on some crofo be person more me. Miss Ramma more me. Repemo, ever saw the topic now review na it to me. I can have some into details and a feather. Na yibisa ho questions and then na de ye mo fanche nyame adom ochna the community and the law na ebeba so na eba so no yigidi say mo benya mre na mo de asom sa time no from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock 2 solid hours in kwa benya na wetimi bisa wo question say the question by and I mean to me bisa ma wa misrew and catering we can ask it tomorrow and I say next week. And Ampono, just give BWF Solicitors, give them a call, no bookie appointment. MBA, you can talk, say your question into details na omutuwenya abotre na omama umwaye and also ewo. Apart from that, no me de mo nyina se mo ba so nyina nyame enhira mo nyina on da sene next week ebesa ehebio. Me da mo nyina se have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Based in London, we are a dynamic award-winning firm specialising in a range of legal services. Welcome to BWF Solicitors, a trusted and experienced law firm specialising in immigration and nationality, appeals and judicial review, dispute resolution, family and matrimonial, and other family law disputes with international context. These include matters such as private child arrangement orders, contestant and uncontested divorce, non-molestation for domestic violence, and financial remedy. Our childcare and family team appreciate the issues facing you at such a difficult time. Our advice is delivered in a confidential and sensitive manner. Meet Bernard Owusu, our esteemed senior partner, with over 32 years of experience and known for his expertise and dedication to serving our clients and the community. BWF Solicitors stands for integrity, respect, excellence, teamwork, diversity, inclusion, and service to the community. We provide tailored assistance specific to your case. At BWF Solicitors, every day is filled with dedication, creativity, and a commitment to finding the best solutions for our clients. Our team at BWF Solicitors is ready to assist you with all your legal needs. You can find us at the 4th floor, Anna House, 214 to 218 High Road, Seven Sisters, London, N15 4NP. Our main office line is 0208 493 7340, or our emergency line is 07712 761 884.